Welcome to Sports Speed. I'm Crystal Bermudez, joined here with my panelists Will Wiegelman and Juliana Battaglia, discussing all things field hockey at Hofstra University. Now, let's take a recap here on the season that we just seen this spring semester. Hofstra's field hockey team currently has an overall score of 2 wins and 6 losses and are 0-1 in the conference. Looking back on their season, the Hofstra Pride fought competitively against teams like UConn and Temple, and let's not forget kicking off the season against, Sacred Heart and Monmouth University as well. Do you guys think that this, starting off the season so early with teams very competitive, known to really put up a fight, benefited them in their advantage?
I think that this is a program that has had some tough seasons, and they're really trying to build. Courtney Vino, the head coach, she's just in her second year, so she's trying to build herself and the program and her vision. And facing this tough competition early on is really going to help, especially when you talk about the freshmen that are coming in that will be the building blocks for Coach Vino in the future. So I think facing that tough competition really is going to bring out the best in everyone, and it's going to help them build and learn and grow.
Absolutely. I'd have to agree with what Will said there. Coming into the season against Temple, that's not a team they traditionally play well against. I believe they're 2-10, but that saw a lot of the freshmen on the team get exposure, which is so key for them early on. And then in Monmouth, that game, super tough loss, but that opened up the stats for Yasmin Verdos to score her first goal on the season. And so I don't necessarily think that coming out against teams that are going to put up fights has hurt them in any way. And as Will said, it's definitely helping them with the building blocks to go forward.
Absolutely. And the final score for the Monmouth game was 2-1, a very close game. And we started to see that momentum and speed was really kicking up. And we really saw this from first-year players, as we mentioned, like Yasmin and Esme Verdos, who were getting into scoring positions and taking advantage of penalty corner opportunities. What could we expect for the future of this season, and what players should we look out for?
I think a few players you got to look at, and one of them is Yasmin Verdos, who you talked about. She's factored in on the Pride's first 5 goals of the season. She's been an offensive force as a freshman, and she's going to be one of those big building blocks in the future. I think you got to look at Cami Larson, who was the Pride's leading scorer last year. She was one of the best players on the team last year. She hasn't really broken out yet, but I think she's going to start to get there as the season progresses. And then someone who doesn't really get on the score sheet is Sydney Laguillo, but she does a great job in the offensive end, on the forecheck, just making sure that it's difficult on the opponent's defense when they're trying to clear their own end.
I'm absolutely going to have to back Yasmin Verdos on this one. She has placed herself in a position to really be an offensive staple, I think, for this team. She has 7 points on the year. She picked up 2 assists in that game against Fairfield that tied her for the most in the CAA at that point. No small feat. So, whether she's scoring goals or she's putting up those shots, she has forged herself into a position to be an offensive powerhouse for this team.
And we can clearly see that, freshmen this year are really stepping up to the plate and putting those scores on the scoreboard. And we also had returners this year playing positions that they had to adapt to and become more familiar with, like Juna Slort, who's playing center back this year, but played midfield in previous years. Would you guys expect this to have an impact on how players are producing and how they're playing in the games? Is this kind of taking them out of place a bit, or is this working in their advantage?
I think when you're trying to balance the lineup like Coach Vino is trying to do, when she has a combination of her recruits that she brought in and recruits that the previous coach brought in, I think she's really trying to balance the lineup and juggle who she wants in the lineup, and she wants to make sure that her stars like Juna Slort are in the lineup. And if she has to put her back on defense just to make sure she's able to get her younger players in and get them experience, then that's what she has to do. And I think it really creates a balance in the lineup and actually helps out the team.
Yeah, I absolutely don't think repositioning players has hurt their defense at all. In the games, in both games against Wagner and Sacred Heart, the defense limited the other teams to 7 shots and 1 goal combined. And so, as Will said, if repositioning players can get more people on the field and get more exposure, I don't think this season has shown that that has hurt them.
And we really do see a combination of returner players and the freshmen, a lot of accountability being held there, where returners are expecting for freshmen to being able to produce and them being able to back them up. And so we can see that the program has shown a lot of growth, a lot of new players over the season, and we're able to capitalize in dominance in games like Wagner and Sacred Heart, as we mentioned, going overtime and making those winning goals, but then also falling short and, having to go overtime and having very low statted games when the defense was there. How could these players better reflect the work that they put in on the scoreboard?
I think it's tough now, especially when you have a ton of freshmen that are producing, and that's the type of thing that's going to come with time. As you're learning the game, it's obviously they have the talent, and the raw talent is there for Coach Vino to work on. And I think as time comes and as they grow and as they learn and as they continue to adjust to the college game, I think those goals will come. But we've certainly seen a lot of positive things, and I think there's a lot of reason for optimism in the future.
Absolutely. Remaining optimistic for this team, of course, but I also think a lot of this lies in their offense. They need to put up more insurance points in these games. A lot of these games were determined for them in a win or loss by a matter of 1 point. And in both Wagner and Sacred Heart, we saw them win only by 1. And it was really up to the defense to help them secure this win by limiting the team to not scoring at all. So I think for them going forward, their success lies in just putting up more points on the board so they can get some insurance and there's not so much pressure on the defense.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment on Hofstra Field Hockey. I would like to thank my panelists, Will Wiegelman and Juliana Battaglia, for joining me tonight. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Hofstra SB, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch all of our episodes and packages. I'm Crystal Bermudez, and have a great night.